Welcome to the Loving Yourself podcast with emotional intelligence and self care life coach, Pastor Tammy Wilson. The goal of this podcast is to empower you to be the very best you that you can be. We will talk about self care, setting boundaries, emotional intelligence, and much, much more. Join us now for a broadcast already in progress.
Grace and peace. I am Pastor Tammy Wilson with the Loving Yourself podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to take a moment today. We're talking about evaluating your self-care. And we're going to take a moment in today's podcast. We will discuss how to evaluate your self-care, the practices to make positive changes for a better future, for a better you. So firstly, we want to just define what self-care is. Now, self-care is any activity that you do deliberately to take care of yourself, your mental, emotional, and physical health. Anything that you do deliberately to take care of yourself. That's what self-care is. You do it on purpose. You take care of yourself on purpose. It's about taking responsibility for your well-being and treating yourself with kindness, respect, and lastly, loving yourself. Listen, you can't want someone else to love you more than you love you. And another thing I've realized is people are not going to love you the way you want them to love you if you don't love yourself. They may not even love you as much anyway, but they can tell when you don't love yourself. When you don't love yourself, most of the time people will mistreat you, they'll abuse you, they'll misuse you because you don't love yourself. So when you don't love yourself, you'll just accept anything and you will allow anything. That's why we want to talk about self-care today. It's about taking 100% responsibility for loving you and taking care of you. Self-care practices, they can include anything from meditation, exercise, healthy eating, spending time with your loved ones, getting enough sleep. There's so many things that we can do to make our lives better and easier. There's sicknesses that we don't have to deal with if we even just learn how to eat better, learn how to exercise. Spending time with loved ones gives you that sense of warmness, that sense of love and affection, and some people just want to feel loved. Some people just want to be needed. But whatever the situation is, you have to know, like any language, when you know what your love language is with your relationship in your marriage, from marriage couples, if you know your spouse's love language, then you guys can deal with each other better. You can get along better. You can go through the worst of times. It's the same way with you. You have to know your love language. Know what you need. Know what you want. Know what you desire. So now let's move on to evaluating your self-care practices. In part one, we talked about simply evaluating your self-care. Now we're going to talk about evaluating your self-care practices. The first step in evaluating your self-care practices is to identify your self-care goals. Identify your self-care goals. I found out that many times we don't get any further in life because we simply don't know what we want. You have to know what you want. What do you hope to achieve by practicing self-care? Maybe you want to reduce some stress. Maybe you want to improve your mood. Maybe you want to have more energy. Maybe you want to be able to communicate better. Maybe you just want to be a better person to get along with. Whatever your goals are, it's important for you to be specific and realistic with your goals. I said it earlier. Don't make goals that are so unrealistic that you cannot achieve them. So when you don't achieve them, then you beat yourself up. You got to make process little by little. You got to take one step at a time, one step at a time. And listen, you may fall, you may miss, you may skip, but get back on track. You got to learn to get back on track. You can't stay in the moment of where you let yourself down, because then you become a failure. Failing is not, that does not make you a failure. It's when you consistently continue to do it without trying to correct the problem or rectify the issue. So little by little, you gotta make process. If you don't drink much water, we all know that we need to increase our water intake. So if you don't drink much water, you may try just doing at least a whole bottle a day. That might be little for much. So maybe you do 3 bottles. Maybe you do 2 bottles. Whatever it is, do more than you were doing. Drink more than you were drinking. Start trying to eat more fruits and more vegetables. These are things that help us feel better. When your body feels better, when you're not so sluggish, you don't have all that sugar intake. I found out the more sugar you have, the more sluggish you are. When you clear your body of a lot of sugar and a lot of carbs and a lot of bread, I'm not telling you to go on a diet or anything like that. Just scale back on the things that are not as healthy for you. But whatever it is, just eat a little more vegetables, drink a little more water, eat a little more fruit. Just put a little more of the good stuff in your lifestyle. Put it in your equation. And once you've identified your self-care goals, the next step is to access your current self-care practices. You got to access it. You have to do it. You have to make it happen. Nike says, just do it. You got to make that thing accessible to you and for you. So are you taking care of yourself in a way that aligns with your goals? So if your goals is to get healthy, but you're still eating chips, you're still eating cookies, that's not accessing your current self-care practices, because your practice should be, okay, I'm not going to buy it, so I won't want it. That's one of mine. I used to buy chips. I love the Lay's cheese stacks. I love them. I would get them every week. Have one at home. I have one at my desk. But now I don't even buy them. Most of the time we buy fruit. We buy watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, grapes, bananas. So that's what's accessible to me. So that's what I eat. When I'm hungry, I may now make some peanut butter crackers, but it used to be, chips and Debbie cakes and all those other things. So you have to make your self-care, those practices, make that accessible and put it in alignment with the direction that you want to go in and the direction of your goals. Are you making time for the activities that bring you joy and help you recharge? Now we're talking about moving forward in self-care and evaluating. You don't want to do so many things that are going to bog you down and make you miserable. That's not self-care either, because if you're doing all these strict things and it's making you miserable, then you may as well just throw it away. Don't even do it, because when you're doing things to help you be better and feel better, you want to be happy in the process. You want to have joy while you're doing it. So you got to do things that are activities that give you joy, that help you recharge. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, because when you sleep is when your body is recharging. Sometimes we just go until our body says, this is enough. And your body you find yourself, your body shutting down because you didn't do things that were going to recharge you. Eat fruits and vegetables that are going to recharge you. You can't keep neglecting your self-care needs and not taking care of your own responsibilities while you're taking care of others' responsibilities. I said it on one of my podcasts before. If you don't take care of yourself first, then you're no good to anyone else. You can't be there for your children, your spouse, your grandchildren, your friends. You won't want to show up to the parties. How many of you have already known that when you go and there's something special that you want to go to, your body's like, oh, I don't even feel like go. I want to go mentally, I want to go, but physically, my body's saying, oh, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted, I'm so drained, I just can't do this, I can't go. And then you push yourself, and then you're just there. You're just existing at that moment because you're not having fun. You're not doing what you need to do to stay afloat. Listen, you have to take the time for you. Take the time to do what you need to do to not only set those goals, but put them in action. Put them to work. You may have to do a little bit at a time. You may have to start over. You may have to go back and do some things that you did before. Whatever works, then you got to get in that mindset that I'm willing to do what I need to do so that I can be better, I can feel better, and I can do better. Whatever that looks like, it's all about being a happy you, being a joyful you. You can't get focused on going in the rat race with keeping everybody else afloat when you're drowning yourself. You have to learn how sometimes you got to go pick up your own life jacket and put it on yourself. When your light is dim, you have to learn, okay, so I was shining bright. My light was shining bright on everybody else, and everybody else is fine, but my light is dim. So you can't wait on others to change your light bulb. You have to learn to get a new light bulb, change your own light bulb so you can breathe that shining light that you need to be for you first before you can shine bright for anybody else. Sometimes self-care is just doing it yourself sometimes. You can't wait on others to pat you on the back. You can't wait on others to appreciate you, to give you accolades when you know you're doing well, when you know you've been there for others. Sometimes you just have to say, I tell myself, Tammy, you did a great job. You're all right with me. Well done. Great job. You didn't go to the left. You stayed focused. Great job. You didn't say things that you're not going to be able to get back. You stayed calm. You stayed in the moment. Great job. You finished your homework assignment when you wanted to go to sleep. Great job. You pressed your way and you went to the second service or program or whatever it is that you didn't really have to, but it was necessary. Great job. You have to learn to encourage yourself. The Bible says that David encouraged his own self in the Lord. David was there for everybody else and giving counsel and wisdom, and something happened. I'm talking about David in the Bible. Something happened where the people came into his city and they took the women and the children and they burnt the city down. So everybody wanted to blame David. David was there. It really wasn't his fault, but sometimes people need somebody to blame. So they turned on David, but he encouraged his own self. Now, had he not encouraged himself, he probably would have just gotten down on himself and quit. But after he encouraged himself, then he allowed himself to be motivated so he could recover. He could pursue and recover everything that he lost and then some. That's the mentality that we have to have. That's the place that we have to get to. We have to encourage ourselves, our own self, because guess what? Everybody's not going to be happy for you. Everybody's not going to celebrate you. Everybody's not going to be with you when you're moving and you're happy. They may not be happy. But it's okay. It's okay if they're not happy. It's okay if they're not enjoying your moment. You just have to learn to be in your moment, encourage yourself, and do what you need to do to stay afloat and keep yourself going in the right direction. That's what self-care is all about. So Listen, I'm Tammy. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast of part two. You can find me on any other outlet where their podcasts are shown. I'm on Spotify, YouTube, the Loving Yourself podcast. Join me on Mondays. Every Monday, you'll find me hopefully with a brand new podcast on either emotional intelligence or self-care. I am your emotional intelligence and self-care life coach. Thank you so much for joining me. I love you much. Have a wonderful day. God bless you and may God smile upon you. Peace be with you.